Are you planning on taking on Oilman Triathlon this year? Well, if so, this is the video for you because in it, I'm going to talk to a local coach and recent finisher of Oilman Triathlon about all you want to know about the swim, the bike, the run, transitions, and all that good stuff. Okay, so who are we? Well, first off, my name is Stephen Moody. Or Coach Steve. I'm a coach turned YouTuber who does reviews of middle distance and full distance races around the world, and I ask all the questions that all these was it athletes are kind of keen to get their hands on. And I do that by reaching out to my incredible community I've built up over the years of cool coaches, race organizers, race announcers, etc. And I ask them about their favorite races, and then I just interview them. It's a simple job for me. And in it, I am delighted to have Coach Stephanie Peterson on the channel again. I've done a couple of interviews with her already, but this time we're going to talk a bit about Oilman. Steph, do you want to give us a bit of background on yourself and your experience of this race before we hop in?
Yes, yes. Thank you for having me. My name is Stephanie Peterson. I'm located in the North Austin area in Texas. And so Oilman is just one of those long-standing races in Texas and East Texas area. And so many people love that race. I decided to race it last year. I had a couple of friends going out there, and so I decided to do that race, and it was quite lovely. And so a little bit more about myself. I am a doctor of physical therapy. I am also a USA Triathlon coach, and I am now a bike fitter.
Ooh,
And so, yes,
congratulations.
yes, I thank you. I really enjoy it, really working with athletes. Um, Not just about the training, but kind of looking at the athlete as a whole. I especially work with athletes who have a history of injuries. Because of my background in physical therapy, I take a different lens approach to training for these athletes. And like I said, not just looking at the training program, but looking at things like your nutrition, your mobility, how you're moving on the bike, looking at your run gait analysis, swim analysis, all of that. So I have been coaching for quite a few years now. I own the business R3 Endurance, and I'm really excited for quite a few of my athletes to be racing at Oilman and then a couple of the other races coming this spring in Texas.
Yeah, see, that's it. You guys have a much longer season than we do. At the moment, we're all wrapping up in
We
Europe
do.
because it's getting cold. But I don't think that's a problem for you guys. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's talk through the course. And Oilman is still open actually for registration. I was checking that out. We'll talk about that at the end,
Mhm.
etc., and all the pricey bits and pieces. But let's dive into the swim and let athletes know what they're either signed up for or they potentially could sign up for. So, looks like a where is this? This swim is in the bay, or where are we having
It's
the?
on Lake Conroe.
Oh,
It's on a nice large lake.
okay. Water quality is going to
Yeah.
be what's that? What can people expect? Water quality, temperature, wetsuit
Well,
legal.
yes, for the most part, it is wetsuit legal. I think last year it was maybe in the low 70s. I don't think I opted to wear a wetsuit. You know what? Maybe it was just on the brink of wetsuit legal, actually. I know I didn't opt to wear a wetsuit. It was slightly warm just for me personally. But a lot of people did wear a wetsuit for that race, and it was wetsuit legal. And so the swim start, it's actually like a beach start. So you're going to be running into the water. I believe it is a rolling start, like some of these Ironman races. Every couple of seconds, you're going to be starting, but you are going to be running into the water like a beach. So, with that, I know, Stephen, you're aware of this as well, the technique of running in. You don't want to run straight. Well, you want to run straight in, but you don't want your legs to be running straight in, right? As you get to the point where the water is up to your knees, you're going to want to kind of swing your legs out to the sides so you're not having to run through all that drag of the water. And then once you're getting into the water, you may want to do, if you're comfortable with it, you can do a dolphin dive to kind of gain momentum, or you can just start your regular swimming, but you are kind of going to be diving slightly forward and into the water.
Yeah, no,
And
absolutely.
one,
It's a case of
mhm,
just getting because people make the mistake of just sort of running and they're fighting against the water, lifting their knees, and it's very draining. As in, I describe it like running like Phoebe, as in the way she moved her legs out. And yeah, and then to get to the point where you're almost waist, and then you can dive in and all the rest, and then start swimming, and you'll be able to catch water out digging on the ground. Um,
mhm.
Okay, and in terms of okay, rolling swim start, what is the water quality murky, clear? What can people expect?
Just it's a relatively clear lake, but it is a lake, so you're not going to be able to see the bottom. Um, and just a little bit more information about the course itself. There is, if you see that land part there, it's it's lined by trees,
Ooh,
and they're relatively tall trees. So you can't really see back beyond that, but you are going to use the tree line as a marker for when you need to take that sharp turn to the right. And then you kind of go down to those buoys there, and then you come back. And then when you see those trees, and you're like, okay, well, I'm almost done.
cool. And the how many people will be at Ironman? Is it a big race? Will there be a lot of people in the water at the same time?
That's a really good question. I don't know. It's not as big as Ironman, so it's not like the 2000 amount. I don't remember how many raced it last year. I'd want to say maybe upwards of 1,000,
Okay,
but I can't really speak for that. So it's definitely a smaller race than a full Ironman.
okay. And there's a number of different turning points here as well. As in, is there any other kind of hints and tips you give for your athletes in terms of sighting points, or how would they, how do you advise people with this sort of course where there's lots of turns? Should they go wide at the boys? Should they keep tight? What would you tell your athletes?
Yeah, I would say, that first yellow buoy, you're going to keep an eye on that yellow buoy, but you are going to sight the trees as well. And you're going to keep it pretty tight, because that is kind of a sharp turn. It looks like it's a 90-degree turn there, but it feels a little sharper than that because you're going to be going out wide. And so you just stay in line with those buoys there. When you get to that turn buoy, you want to stay relatively tight. It is a smaller than 90-degree turn there, it looks like. So you want to stay pretty tight to that because you don't want to be going out too wide and then you're adding so many lengths to your swim. And then when you're coming back in, you can sight the trees on the right side as well. And so you want to just really go through that narrow pathway there. And then as you're sighting coming in through there, I believe the finish, they have something flashy and bright that you're going to be looking at. But also the way that you get out of the water, there's going to be like 2 or 3 swim ladders that you come up through. And there's volunteers that are helping like pull you up through the ladders. But it is quite a good climb to get up from the water.
Okay, cool. Do they have wetsuit peelers, or is that do you remember?
They do. Yes, they'll have that available.
Fantastic. Which, if you're
Hmm.
European and coming to this race, this is someone who helps you get out of your wetsuit, which we love. And there's a kind of a weird little tradition. I think that one of our good friends, Nancy, the race director, says put $5 down there, so you actually tip your peeler or stripper, as I call
Yes,
them, which makes it a little bit more awkward. Um,
right. It used to be a wetsuit stripper, right? And then I think their website might still say stripper, but yeah, peeler is the newer
More
term.
politically correct and all the rest. And
Yes,
it's easier to explain
exactly.
to the partner that you weren't hanging out in the water with strippers, like, and like, come back with sunburn,
Right.
etc.
The stripper is waiting for me to get out of the water.
Yeah, 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 gonna help me out up the ladder. Okay, cool. Right, so seems a simple enough swim. Expect probably it could be borderline wetsuit. Water quality would be
Mhm.
okay, but not crystal clear. The
Right.
key thing will be getting your sighting points right and using and making sure you go tight at the boys. Straight line out, straight line back. Any other tips for the swim?
Well, I always like to tell people in general, use positive, mindful meditation or visualization before the swim start. It will just set you up for success. It will decrease that anxiety, decrease that heart rate, especially if you do have anxiety before the swim. So that would be my biggest tip.
Cool, absolutely. I also get my guys to talk to people, as in like talking the pen and all the rest. One, it calms your nerves a little bit, and you know that everyone's in the same boat. But also, I tell them to ask what pace the guys are going to go for. So when you find out, oh, I'm going to go swim around 2 meters per 100 and all the rest, then stick beside that person and draft off them because they're your your ticket to a good swim. If you're a 2:05
Yes,
swimmer, so definitely drafting will
that's
be
so
another
right.
thing as well. We've talked about sighting. Anything else that we think of to help out nervous newbies or people
Well,
looking for a PB?
yeah, at the swim start, so you know how Ironman will have the time uh, up in the air and you'll kind of seat yourself behind that time. So I don't believe they have that here. So you're just going to have to talk to the other athletes. You're going to line yourself up based on your time. Know your pace, like 100-meter pace, or know your total time, like something that everyone can understand. That way you can chat with other athletes and determine if you need to go ahead of them or behind them.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, doke. All right. So in terms of the swim time, I was looking at again myself and Steph normally have done Ironman branded one, so this is slightly different actually. In terms of cutoff, it's 1 hour and 15 from the last person entering the water is the cutoff. So they have 1 hour and 15 minutes to get from here to there, and out up the ladder and meet the stripper. Okay, cool. We move on to transition now. Dum, bum, bum. So it's a single transition, is that right?
It is.
Fantastic. We love that because there's less logistics. I did a review there of La Quinta in California, and there's a split transition. There's a whole drama about getting to your bike
Uh,
here and your run bike here, and there's the whole single
oh yeah,
transition.
Ironman Texas is a two transition.
Nice.
Yeah.
We it's a little bit of a headache, but anyhow, so we
Yes.
don't have to worry about that. It's a single transition. It's also what we call a traditional or dirty transition. If you've seen the other videos
Mhm.
myself and Steph have done, we some of them really talked about blue and red bags, which are transition bags where you Iron Man use them. But this is kind of like your domestic race. It's more informal. You will set up your whole transition beside your bike. So you'll set up your helmet on your bike. You'll put your runners by your bike, and when you come out of the
Mhm.
water and you get the your wetsuit, you'll put that beside your bike, etc. So there's a little bit more chaos, but it's a little bit more old school. Um, what's the actual transition area in? Is it in a car park? What's the surface, or is it a big transition? What do you remember?
It is. It's in a like a parking lot. So you'll have that concrete gravel. It's not gravel, sorry, but regular pavement. That's the word I'm looking for.
Cool.
So to be pavement, you are going to be running on a little bit of grass, if I remember correctly, to get to the transition from the water. It's not too far away, but you do have to run a bit. I'd say, don't quote me on this, but maybe like 200 meters, something
I'm
like
quoting you
that.
now.
So it's,
200 meters,
yeah,
201 meters, Steph said exactly. And you can go measure in a Garmin or else and come back and give out to us
yeah,
on the video.
yeah. Yeah, but it's pretty much a straight shot. So you can see the transition, and yeah, it's a pretty standard transition. It was done really well last year. They have a couple of USA Triathlon officials for the event. They have quite a few volunteers in there ready to help you in transition, kind of to help you find where you're stuck, or if you have any questions, or So it was really put together nicely.
And numbered racks as well, like Ironman. You'll get
I don't believe so.
okay.
I don't remember. But in the event that it's not numbered, you should always count the number of racks from swim entrance in, so that way you know exactly where your rack is.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's a key tip that we get as well, like a lot of us coaches will talk about, is as part of your familiarization the day before. You can check in the bike the day before actually, and the day of, which is unusual. Again, it's a little bit less kind of more informal than Ironman, but knowing your ins and outs, having a look at where you enter the water, seeing where you exit the water, um, and where your bike will be, or where you're going to put your bike, and where that is in terms of landmarks. And you correctly point out, Steph, count the racks, and so you can easily find it, where the exit for the bike exit is, where the mount line is, etc. Know your ins and outs and walk it, because it's all very different in the when race fog descends and you're all sort of full of adrenaline, and you've been swimming for like 40 minutes, and then suddenly you're up like this and you're running, trying to get to us. Walk it, make sure you take landmarks and know where you're going to go.
Hmm.
What other tips do you guys give to your guys planning to do a good quick transition from swim to bike for 70.3?
Yes. So first thing, count those racks when you come in. Take off cap and goggles as you're running in. Hold them in your hand if you want. Um, and then quickly go to your transition area. If you can set up a transition towel that's nice and bright, like the one that I used this weekend was bright yellow. Don't make that towel too big. Just make it enough of a space to put your shoes, socks, any of the things that you need. Keep your transition area tidy. Don't leave a ton of things. Try not to leave your bag in transition. See if you can give your bag to a friend that's going to be watching, like your Sherpa, or if you have a group, like we have the Austin Tri Club, and sometimes they'll bring a tent. See if you can put it under their tent that someone's hanging out at, because that just clutters the transition area. And another thing is don't mark your spot with a balloon. They will cut that off. So don't depend on that.
Yeah.
Just keep it simple.
Absolutely. I am again for me, I tell my guys again, it's smooth and controlled. Transition one's always going to be a little bit slower than transition two, because you've got more to deal with the wetsuit coming off, and you're getting on the
Mm-hmm.
bike, and you're getting your helmet on. You can only touch your bike once you have your helmet on, or else you get a penalty. Just think it through,
Yes.
breathe, walk it through, and all the rest. You see some people running through transition 100 miles an hour, but like, and then they get on the bike and the cycling go like, oh, I forgot to pick up my nutrition, or they'll it's
Yeah.
you could save yourself a minute in transition and mess up your bike leg because you forget your nutrition. So like smooth, calm, and just
Mm-hmm.
was it very sort of purposeful movements. Cool. All right.
Some of the bikes these days, talking about nutrition, have like a little bento box on the top tube, and mine doesn't have that built in, but I do have one that I just bought that goes on my top tube, and I keep a lot of my nutrition in there. So before the race starts, you just plan to have that all on there. You have all your bottles on the bike, so that way you can just put your helmet on, grab it, and go. And if you really want a quick transition and you're skilled and you've practiced getting on and off your bike with your shoes still clipped in, that's an option to do as well. But I'd say that's for the most advanced athletes, and make sure that your shoes actually won't clip off while you're running with your bike.
I have tried this. It's something I've never managed to do correctly. I've done it
Yeah.
once or twice and it looks very impressive. But also the time I've done it, I mistimed it and landed on my crossbar and ruined and took around 5 minutes to get
Uh,
myself together. It wasn't the best, wasn't my best transition.
you mean you tried the flying mount
Oh
also?
God, yeah.
Oh no. I used to have that down pat when I did like the ITU legal, the draft legal stuff, but I won't chance it on this tri bike. It's easier on a road bike to do a flying mount.
And it's also worse being a bloke, by the way.
That's true.
Just as I said, like you're kind of lying down, questioning your life choices, and go like, "Will I continue this race?" And go like, "I have to,"
Yeah,
because
and
everyone's looking and laughing at me. The only way I can get away from this is if I get on my bike and cycle away and learn to breathe again.
yeah, I mean, I think the flying mount is just unnecessary, honestly, especially at this distance. Like, what's an extra 5 seconds
Oh,
really
it
going to
looks
give you?
cool. It looks cool when you pull it
Yeah,
off.
that's true.
Conversely, it looks ridiculous when it goes wrong. Okay,
Yeah.
we will move on to there's some hints and tips as well, and Steph's gives some great tips there, and so thank you for that. But there's some more little short ones in the comments below. One of which I probably should add to: do not try a flying mount in a 70.3 distance. Not worth it. Um, I did have the kind of, wetsuit removal tips and all the rest, but with no it's peeler, so you don't need to look at it. But if you're curious about for your own local races, there's a how to get in and out of your wetsuit in a flash in the video there. And then we will move on to the bike course. But before we do, again, this is if you stumbled on the channel, that's great. If not already, please subscribe. I do loads of other race reviews and training content with cool people, cool coaches like Steph, with race organizers, etc., and loads of really cool content. But also thanks to Steph. So please give her a thumbs up for sharing her time and her experience. And if you want to check her out and find an absolute top coach to get in your corner next year, there's her Instagram details. I'll also have her email at the end. I'll also have any other social media content details in the comments below. So if you really want a top coach who really who has that holistic approach to her training, she brings her physical therapy. She's got a bike that very, very holistic approach to coaching. So it'd be great to have her in your corner. All right. But now let's talk about the bike. One loop bike course. What can people expect on this one? Road surface, elevation. Talk us
Mhm.
through it, Steph.
Yes, so the elevation overall is going to be about 2,300 feet. It's not one of those races where you're climbing up a huge hill and then you come back down. It's going to be rolling pretty much the whole time. You have a couple of nice, really flat sections that you can gain some speed on. But with these rolling hills, you can stay in your big ring the whole time. You can go up the hill at a mm, relatively fast pace for going up a hill. And then don't just coast down the hill. You can take that speed from the last hill and bring it into the next hill. You're not going to have any sharp turns at the bottom of the hill. At least I don't remember that. I do see a couple of turns here, and I don't remember if they're at the bottom of the hill, but I didn't seem to have a huge issue with that when I did it last year. There are a few things to watch out for. Make sure everything on your bike is secure. I say that because on the back end, maybe around mile 20, there is a pretty good chip sealed road for at least 3 or 4 miles on the back end. And if you have something loose on your bike, it's like a bottle that's not in the right way, it's going to go flying off. So just make sure everything is secured. Prepare yourself to ride outside on a couple of rougher roads, just because there is that few miles on the back end there that could be a little bit rough. It's really not terrible, but you are really happy when the road gets smoother after it's done. And the other reason to secure your stuff is there are, I think, 1 or 2 railroad crossings. And one cue about when you're crossing a railroad, you want to go perpendicular with the tracks. You never want to be at an angle of some sort because then your road tire could get stuck in there and then you go down. So if that means the railroad tracks are at some sort of angle, they're not perfectly straight across, you need to adjust where you're riding to make sure that you're going perpendicular over the tracks.
Oh yeah, so yeah, talked about here. Left on Johnson, caution the railroad tracks. Where's
Okay.
Johnson?
Yeah.
I'm trying to see. Oh, here we are.
It's
It's
kind of
actually
on the
where
back end.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just there. Actually, that's weird. So, and that's a great tip on
Mm-hmm.
that. Are the roads closed for entirely to traffic, or is it just marshaled? What's your
It's Yeah, it's controlled by the police, but it's open. I
okay.
don't think they have one side closed. They may for a little bit. I know for the really crowded area, they may have a little bit of it closed, but for the most part, it's open. It is a lot of beautiful back road. So there doesn't tend to be a lot of traffic on those roads. It is quite beautiful, and there are a few aid stations. I see there they have like three, I think, three water. aid stations.
Yeah, 16
Yeah.
and 30 and was it
Hmm.
44? And there's Gatorade and water as well, and a porta potty,
Hmm.
which you want to avoid having to use that, but it
Hmm.
needs must.
It
Um,
it really is a nice course. I mean, if you enjoy rolling hills, it is the perfect course for you. It's beautiful.
Fantastic. And the million-dollar question, which we get asked all the time, if you had a road bike or a TT bike and you had the choice, what would this be for you? Would it be TT bike?
TT bike, yeah, I'll stay in the big ring the whole time.
Cool. Any
Yeah,
wins
it
that to be considered of? Like should they like if you have a disc wheel, would you use it or not use it, or is it exposed?
mm,
Or do you remember?
it's not very open. You do have a lot of trees kind of lining the area. At least for that, like if you see the darker area there, there's quite a bit of trees, so it's really nice. I can't quite remember if the back end is open. I don't remember there being a high wind though. It was pleasant.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
S- Good road surface aside from that one spot. Only real hazards to
Right.
talk about is the railway tracks. Just be aware of that.
Mhm.
Um, it's a nice flat course, well, rolling course, but again,
Rolling.
nothing over like sort of 4 or 5% gradient, so you don't have to worry about getting out of the big ring. Should be a
Right.
good, and TT bike is the way forward.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I would do, especially if you're strong.
Nice. Okay. Anything else on the bike course that we have to share?
I don't think so. I think we hit all the main points.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. So swim T1 and bike is actually the same as the Ironman cutoff, 5.5 hours. Just bear that in mind. We'll talk a little bit about the aid stations. Where were they again? 16, 30, and 44. And I have this video in the comments. I won't go into huge detail because it's not exactly the same in terms of how an Ironman aid station works, but there's some key things in there if you're new to 70.3 distances about how an aid station works in terms of how you need to slow down when you're coming into it, how you need to communicate with your fellow riders that you're coming in for an aid station, how to have practiced grabbing a bottle without stopping or stopping if you want to, but that would you need to pull to the side. Um, Making the eye contact with the volunteer, communicating with and grabbing the bottle, securing the bottle, and coming out safely. There's an actual skill in that. As I said, it's not as these are Ironman aid stations. They seem to be they have a lot more to them. But for Oilman, it just sounds like you will be getting the option of Gatorade and water in bottles. So check out that in the athlete guide about what type of bottles they have, etc. But also, if you're keen to know how an aid station works, check out the video in the comments below. We won't go into too much detail because it might be a little bit overkill here. But then we shall move on to transition two. We are again back to the same location. Do you remember if they had bike catchers or you had to rack your own bike?
You'll rack your own bike. Mhm.
Cool. Okay. So that again comes back to our point again where it's really key to have walked the transition area beforehand. Make sure you know where, and because it's key that you walk when you're going from transitioning from swim to bike, as in you run out a certain way. But obviously, when you're coming back from bike to run, you'll come in and there'll be a dismount line where you have to stop, get off your bike entirely, run with your bike, and it's all different because you're coming from a different angle. So make sure you work that out and have your second set of landmarks to work through. Um, what other tips and hints do you give your athletes when you're preparing them for a nice smooth transition too, Steph?
Yeah, there's something called those like stretchy laces that you can put on your running shoes. If you're comfortable running with those, it just makes the transition a lot quicker. You don't have to actually tie your shoes, so you just slide your feet in. Another recommendation is just set your stuff out so you have it available and ready in the morning. So, like, put your hat so it's face up, put your sunglasses if you're not already using them, if you use different ones, right on top of that. Make sure you're using some sort of race belt. A race belt is something that you can tie around your belly and you can put your race number, secure your race number on it. So that way you don't have to wear your race number on the bike and you can just grab that from your transition. You can get up and as you're running through transition, you can secure it around your waist. So it's a really quick thing to do and it saves you a lot of time.
Loctite laces. We call them Loctite
That's
laces,
right.
or
Okay.
so. And actually, there's a link to buy them in the comments below if you want to.
Great.
Was it just to make it easy for you guys? We're all about you guys. So yeah, no,
Yes.
absolutely. To add on to that, yeah, I 100% agree. As in, do everything very deliberately, have thought it through. As in, like, is there? Don't put your cap that's going to be underneath the wetsuit after you've thrown it. Put your cap somewhere where it's not gonna. You have to run it around. You could put it where you're gonna pick it up and just literally put it on. The
Hmm.
elastic laces, the Loctite laces are great. I did a test with them at one point, and I worked out I was saving a minute in transition, getting myself ready, and all the rest, which is much easier way to get faster than actually have to do all the training at the running. Um,
Yes.
what we talked to about our guys, T2 time, your transition two time should be a lot quicker than your transition one because there's a lot less to deal. The minute you rack your bike, you can take off your helmet, and then once you have your runners on, and as Steph pointed out, they'll go on real quick with your Loctite laces. Um, and then I tell my guys to start moving towards the run exit. And as Steph said, you don't need to be stopped to turn around your race belt. You don't need to be stopped to put on your baseball cap or take a gel. The minute you have your runners on with our super fast Loctite laces, start moving because nothing good happens in transition two. That's my take on it.
Exactly.
Anything else?
Keep
Any other
moving.
tips?
Keep moving. Try not to sit down. I had to sit down in Waco actually because of my sprained ankle. I retaped my ankle in T2, but I would not recommend sitting down if you can avoid it.
No, absolutely. Muscles just sort of tighten up and all the rest, and also use
Yeah.
your momentum from the bike. You will have had a lot of kind of good blood flow and all the rest. And don't let your
Yeah.
body realize what you're doing to it. Just keep
Yeah.
moving.
Just keep it going.
Yeah. I promise this is the last thing we'll ever do. We will just sit down, have a sedentary lifestyle, and then like the minute you cross the finish line, go, I was lying. I was lying to you, buddy. We're doing this again soon.
Yep.
Cool.
Signing up tomorrow.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's just a recovery run tomorrow. I promise.
Yeah.
Some other good, we've covered a lot of good tips there, but there's some other like short tips as well, in the comments if you want to check them out. And now we are on to the run course, which when I first saw, oh my God, it reminded me of one of those. I don't know if you had these as a kids where you had to have you're trying to get the loop around an electrified piece of metal without touching it. Um, but
Yes.
is this an easy course to run?
Okay, so it's really not that bad. It looks crazy just because it's all along the golf course path.
Ah,
Yeah. And I believe it's two loops, if I remember. Yeah, there's a two loops for the half. I know the sprint loop is a lot different, but um, it is on a golf course path. So it's quite pleasant. You're going to stay on that path for most of it. That's the winding part. And the part that's at the very bottom there, kind of at the beginning, is I believe that is the neighborhood that you go through. So you're going to go through a little bit of the golf course, you go through a little bit of the neighborhood, you go through the golf course again, and so you're kind of winding in and out. So it really doesn't look as crazy as it is when you're doing it. There's only one way to go.
well, that's it. Actually, golfers must hate triathletes because I did another race review we did in La Quinta. They run through a golf course as well. And like they hate us when we cycle past them and all the rest. Like, but now you actually have to shut down the golf course for a day. As in that's
Right.
kind of
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna be like, I can't get my tea time on on a weekend, especially.
fantastic. Oh, and these are the actual numbers of the golf course as well, aren't they? That's
Yeah,
like
it probably
the
is.
18th hole.
Oh
Cool.
yeah,
All right. So what in terms of elevation is it? Is it what it's on path you said, and is it hilly or
it
is it
is.
okay?
It's not hilly much at all. It's relatively flat. I think I clocked like 275 feet of elevation across the whole 13.1 miles. So it's really not too bad. You'll have a little bit of a hill here or there, but it's not a hill that you're like looking up, saying, oh my God, how am I going to get up this? It's not that at all. So it's relatively flat.
Okay, okay, okay. I'm trying to figure. I'm following around the map here. Ah, yes, yes, yes.
And what's really nice, there's a lot of people that are out there cheering, and especially the people that live on the golf course, they'll kind of come out on their balcony or outside in their backyard, and they'll play music for you and just cheer you on. It's a really great community.
Cool, excellent. All right, excellent. And there's a good few water stops along the way. Will it be
Mhm.
hot on the day? Was it hot for you when you raced? You remember?
The day that I raced, it was a little warm. I wouldn't say it was terrible for Texas, but if you're from the Northeast, you'll still think that it's warm. So maybe it gets up to like the 80s. You're definitely not going to be seeing 90s there.
Okay, okay, excellent. All right, so even
Mhm.
still, but making sure you don't miss any aid stations in terms of either taking on liquid or
Right.
um using the water for heat management. If you are water down the back of
hmm
the tri suit, was it splashing water in your face also helps?
I don't remember if they had ice at a lot of the stations. They might have had some ice here and there. If they do have ice available, put that down like through your chest, through your tri suit, or under your hat, to keep you kind of cool.
Yeah, love that. And also a new tip I picked up from one of the other coaches. They said, a South African guy said he always runs with, if it's a hot race, he runs with a Ziploc bag. And they
hmm
went, so, and if he knows there's going to be ice at the aid station, so what he'll do is he'll scoop up the ice, put it in the Ziploc
mm
bag, and then put it down the front of him. So then that slowly melts, and he can keep it over like his, if he said his back of his kidneys used to get very hot. So he'd put it down there and keep the core temperature
Yeah,
down that way. So, and then when he gets to the next one, he empties out the water, fills up with ice again. I thought that was a great little tip.
that's great. Yeah, I just take the chunk of ice and just put it down. It stays in there
Just, yeah, melts
until it
nicely.
melts. Yeah, I get to the next aid station. I'm like, is that still hard? Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
there's still ice there.
Of course, the poor volunteers are blush when you're putting ice then into
Oh
try
yeah. Yeah, she's like she couldn't scoop it enough, quickly enough. And I was like, I don't care, I'll just grab it. Grab it and go.
Oh, as they say, good manners never go out of fashion, but there is a pause of manners when you're in the middle of a 70 kilometer
Yes.
race. I would
Yes.
not
I
do this
mean,
at home,
yeah,
I
she
guarantee you.
was she was like, I can't scoop it fast enough. Do you want to just grab it? And so I was like, sure, I'll grab it.
Fantastic. Cool. Anything else you remember and any hints or tips you give for your athletes who are preparing for a half marathon off the bike?
Yeah, I mean that first mile or so, you're just really trying to keep your cadence high because you're coming off the bike where you're spinning pretty well. And also that last like mile or so on the bike, you want to increase your cadence. So you're just kind of spinning your legs out to prepare for the run. But coming off the bike, really focus on that higher cadence level. Bring that into that first mile or so until you can really get into your pace. You don't want to go off too fast because you've got quite a long way to go. So you want to just see how your legs are feeling coming off the bike. You really have to assess what your body is feeling like. If it's a good day, stick with that solid pace for a good 6, 7 miles. Reassess how you're feeling at that point because you still have half more to go. And then if by mile 10 you're really feeling solid, start cranking the speed.
That's it. That's when you cash in all the chips. That's when
Yep.
you start
Yep.
telling your body lots of lies. Promise,
Yeah.
this is it. Just give me
Just one more mile. Just
one
one
more
more
mark.
mile.
Promise that's the end of it. We're selling the
Okay.
bike, I
And now
promise.
one and now one more.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. And in order to get it done, you've got 8 hours and 25 minutes for the swim, T1, bike, and T2. And this is where you're gonna get, I think it's a pretty cool finish line. I know Ironman prides itself, but like they obviously don't hold back with the setup, and you can see all the tents and there's a
Mhm.
crowd around and a good looking medal too. So
There you go.
that's what you
It
want to
was a
be
nice
looking at.
medal. Yeah.
Cool. All
Yeah,
right.
the finish line was great. I think they had like massage therapists there and they had food and hydration, all the good stuff.
Nice. And again, so yeah, and as I said, as you mentioned, there tends to be local tri clubs will target these races, so you'll have lots of like little gazebos with their clubs and all the rest. Make sure you go chat
Yes.
them and share a couple of war stories with people. It's all part of the triathlon community, and everyone loves to talk about it. Alrighty,
Hmm.
so race day venue.
Hmm.
Did some checking. Now this is currently based on the what's up on the website, so this might change, but it's still open for registration, by the way, and it's a fraction of the cost of doing a what you call it,
Yes.
a branded Ironman.
Ironman. Yeah.
I think it's around 250 or 300 dollars, which is literally probably half of what you pay for an Ironman.
Right. Especially that late in the game. And I think I paid maybe closer to the 200 something range.
Yeah. No,
It was
fantastic. And
very
again, like so,
reasonable.
and it's a great way of actually getting an experience in a half Ironman. Ironman does do a razzmatazz, so that's where you pay the premium price. But these races, they're still well run. And like you get the full challenge, you get the full experience. So, and if someone's going to ask you if you've done a half Ironman, you've done a half Ironman. It's like
Yes.
branded or
It's the
not.
distance. It's the distance, not the brand.
Fan exactly. Cool. So there was option to register on Friday between 3 and 7. There was a swim course check between and a swim clinic on Saturday between 10 and 12. Also the registration is on oh, we can ignore that bit there. I don't know what that typo is. There was some race briefings as well online to make sure you check out that. And by the way, this video is not intended to replace race briefings or reading the athlete guide, reading the website. It's meant to complement it. It's myself and Steph's kind of hints and tips and sort of flavor of this. So do use both. Um, and yes, you could. This is also different to Ironman. Ironman is you have to check in your bike between a certain time and on the day before, and there's the whole the rigmarole, the brags.
Hmm.
But it's a little more informal here, as in you can check it in on the Saturday or literally the morning of the race. But
Hmm.
again, if you're doing that, you need to plan your logistics a little bit more for race morning. Depends your call.
Yeah, there also is a sprint. So I wonder too if they make that an option for locals who want to do like the shorter distance too.
And a sprinted brilliant way of actually just even getting you dipping your toe in the water, sticking your feet in the bike and sticking your feet in runners, and like then. By the way, the minute you do that, you're a triathlete. All this sort of it doesn't have to be 70.3 middle
Yes.
distance, etc. or Ironman. As Stephanie correctly pointed out, that's a brand. There's a whole world of different was it length races and all the rest, and some of the shorter stuff is much cooler and
Yeah,
it's
I
easier
love
to train for.
Olympic distance is my favorite distance, quite honestly.
I would be well, I my trouble is I was never fast enough for Olympic. Half
Yeah.
Ironman I like because I think I can get away with it. I can blag with it, but Olympic distance I'm not as competitive, but I do like it as a distance. Like
Yeah.
you're done and
I
dusted
think
in a few hours. Like
that's
brilliant.
true. I think us strong swimmers tend to be a little bit better at the Olympic because the swim tends to be slightly longer,
Yes.
adjusted based on, the other
Yeah.
distances. But
Disproportionate advantage if you're a strong swimmer.
right.
And trust me, I moan about that in the bike and the run when I'm chasing down these swimmers and go like, "Oh,
Exactly. Yeah, you pass them, you're like, oh, you're a good swimmer.
yeah, hey, fish, how are those wheels?"
Right. That's always the thing.
That's it. And race morning transition opens at half 5:30, and you've got till 6:45. Get it? Race morning, it's rolling that rolling start as Steph pointed out, where you're coming in from the beach and all the rest. But it's not as formal as swim corrals, but so make sure you get yourself in the right place, talk to the right people, and it's broken in by age group. Okay, that's all we have for the moment.
Hmm.
As promised, now you've heard all the, well, you've dipped into a little bit of the knowledge and experience that Stephanie has. If you want to actually get more inside her head and get more benefit from her as a wonderful coach, that's her email address there. I highly recommend
Hmm.
you tap her up and sort of like go reach out to her if you want to start your base training, if you want to find a bit of prep for Oilman, or just even for next year. She's a super coach, a lovely human, well worth a conversation if you really want to bring your triathlon on to the next level. All the other
Thank
contact
you.
details will be down in the comments. So, aside from
Yes.
that, Stephanie, I will take the time for myself and the viewers to say thanks a million for your time. Thanks a million for sharing it. And is there anything else you'd like to say to the last minute nervous newbies or excited PB
Yes.
chasers?
Well, I'd like to say this is just a wonderful course. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Just know that triathlon is meant to be fun. So if it's starting to get to the point where you're anxious or worried, just try to take in some of those deep breaths. Remember, you're doing this for fun. Even if you have a personal best coming, it's supposed to be enjoyable. Try to work as hard as you can on race day. Take it a little easier those days before it. And I want to say thank you so much for having me on here. I wanted to mention just one more thing about the venue. A little tip: if you do stay at the Margaritaville Resort, the race starts from there. So you can come down from your hotel room in the morning and just go walk out to the swim start, which is really
Hmm.
nice.
And avoiding having to
Yes.
use a portal completely, which is always a win.
Yes. And you don't have to drive anywhere. Like it's a really well done race, well thought out.
Stroll straight into the hotel bar in your triathlon suit with your medal on, and then sit down,
After you
order
finish,
order a hamburger and chips and a cold beer, and see how long that'll last. I like the sound of that.
there you go. There you go. Exactly.
Right, fantastic. We will leave it there. Thanks again for your time, Stephanie. And no doubt we'll be chatting about some other race in the future, as always a good
Yes.
catch. And we will. You have a lovely rest of the season yourself.
Thank you. You too.